What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA playoffs. Thursday, June 24th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, let's take a look at this 2-game slate, the Thursday-Friday slate, and let's start at the point guard position. I like Drew Holiday from the Milwaukee Bucks playing the Atlanta Hawks, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, and they give up the 8th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Drew Holiday has averaged 36.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 32 minutes per game with a 22% usage rate. He scored 59, 32, and 49 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 41, 48, and 42 minutes. He's projected at 40.9 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.5 times value. He's $7,400 FanDuel salary, and I gotta fix the salary difference on DraftKings. It's not showing properly right now, so I'm gonna exclude the DraftKings prices from this video, but these picks apply to both sites. So I like Drew Holiday here versus the Atlanta Hawks. Okay, another point guard that I like is Reggie Jackson from the LA Clippers playing the Phoenix Suns. Reggie Jackson, he scored 37, 35, and 54 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 38, 39, and 37 minutes. He's projected at 32 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.1 times value. He's $6,300 FanDuel salary. Oh, and Vegas thinks there's going to be 221 points scored in this game, so I like Reggie Jackson here versus the Phoenix Suns. Okay guys, just be aware that Chris Paul should be returning to this game, so that means a guy like Cameron Payne, who scored 56 fantasy points in 37 minutes last game, he's probably not going to be playing that many minutes this game if Chris Paul returns, because Chris Paul was out with COVID. It wasn't an injury related, so his minutes should be just fine. So I'm expecting maybe 15 to 20 minutes from Cameron Payne. His salary looks like it's still way too high, so just be careful of playing Cameron Payne if you're looking at that game log and you see that he scored 56 fantasy points last game. That's not going to be the case with Chris Paul in. And I might even stay away from Chris Paul, even though it wasn't an injury. It may take him a game or so to get back into action. We'll see how it goes though. But all that's up to you. Let's move on to the shooting guard position. I like Paul George from the LA Clippers playing the Phoenix Suns. Paul George has averaged 40.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 30% usage rate. He scored 39, 54, and 54 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 41, 38, and 45 minutes. He's projected at 48 fantasy points here tonight, but we know he has that 50-plus fantasy point upside, and 48 fantasy points would be 4.7 times value. He's $10,300 FanDuel salary, so I like Paul George here versus the Phoenix Suns. Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the position optimizer where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new player trends tool where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, another shooting guard that I like Now, I don't like him as much now that Chris Paul is back, but it looks like his salary has come down a little bit, so he's still a viable play here. I like Devin Booker from the Phoenix Suns playing the LA Clippers. Devin Booker has averaged 37.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 33% usage rate. He scored 25, 70, and 53 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 40, 43, and 41 minutes. He's projected at 40.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.7 times value. He's $8,500 FanDuel salary, so I like Devin Booker here versus the LA Clippers. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. I like Mikal Bridges from the Phoenix Suns playing the LA Clippers. Mikal Bridges has averaged 26.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 15% usage rate. He scored 12, 27, and 28 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 34, 35, and 36 minutes. He's projected at 26.4 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.3 times value. He's only $5,000 FanDuel salary, so I like Mikal Bridges here versus the LA Clippers. Okay, another small forward that I like is Chris Middleton from the Milwaukee Bucks playing the Atlanta Hawks. Chris Middleton has averaged 36.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 25% usage rate. He scored 32, 56, and 69 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 40, 52, and 42 minutes. So he's playing monster minutes, and he's projected at 42.6 fantasy points here tonight. Now, he is priced up on FanDuel, so that's only 4.6 times value. He's $9,200 FanDuel salary, but I still like Chris Middleton here versus the Atlanta Hawks. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. I like Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks playing the Atlanta Hawks. Giannis Antetokounmpo has averaged 53.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 33% usage rate. He scored 71, 63, and 52 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 41, 50, and 41 minutes. He's projected at 61.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.6 times value. He's $11,000 FanDuel salary, so I like Giannis Antetokounmpo here versus the Atlanta Hawks. Okay, now if you're looking for a value play, take a look at Jay Crowder from the Phoenix Suns playing the LA Clippers. Jay Crowder has averaged 21.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 16% usage rate. He scored 14, 22, and 31 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 32, 33, and 38 minutes. He's projected at 23.7 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.2 times value because he's only $4,600 FanDuel salary, so I think he makes a pretty good value play on FanDuel. So I like Jay Crowder here versus the LA Clippers. Okay, moving on to the center position. This is probably my favorite play on the slate. Take a look at Ivica Zubac from the LA Clippers playing the Phoenix Suns. Ivica Zubac, he's averaged 22 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 22 minutes per game with a 15% usage rate. Now, he really hasn't played much until last game, where he played 34 minutes and scored 29 fantasy points. So I'm hoping that that minute load continues here tonight, and he's projected at 25 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.2 times value. He's only $4,800 FanDuel salary, so if he gets 28 to 35 minutes, he should be able to crush value here. So I like Ivica Zubac here versus the Phoenix Suns. Okay, another center that I like is Clint Capella from the Atlanta Hawks playing the Milwaukee Bucks. Clint Capella has averaged 40 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. He scored 44, 25, and 28 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 37, 32, and 37 minutes. He finally showed some life last game. He was really not doing well throughout the playoffs, and I kept picking him in my videos because he's averaging 40 fantasy points per game in 30 minutes. So I knew the real Clint Capella would eventually show up. He finally did. So I hope that continues here into this slate. And he's projected at 35 fantasy points. That's 5 times value. He's only $7,000 FanDuel salary, so I like that FanDuel price. So I like Clint Capella here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to DraftDashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.